Went from condos to Pop's house, on calls now bus routes.
So getting into your teenage years, so you were always, because for the people who don't know, you like 6'9", right, brother?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in your teenage years, what were you doing around that time? Was it always like, oh, he's gonna play ball, and that's just something that, you know, stuck with you in the beginning? You know, so go back to those teenage years when you were 13, 14 years old. What was going on in your world at that time, brother?
I was trying to figure out who I was. You know, I really didn't start playing basketball till I was about 15 years old. I didn't have the best grades even at that time. You know what I mean, to play basketball. I had moved from school. Before I finished high school, I've been to 13 different schools.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I had experience, in which actually worked out in my favor, because I had the opportunity to learn how to make friends real quick.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in process of growing up, the difference between adults and the children is that the adults already have that core person that they can confide in, that they can talk to. That's not their, not their family or friend. You know what I mean? So I had a challenge on developing and figuring out who's those going to be, those core people. You know what I mean? It's going to be in my life where I can lean on. I could be like, man, my mama tripping today, or my brother did this. You know what I mean? I had to make those people real quick. And when you learn how to kind of like mutate yourself and be like, bonding, matching, and mirroring, become that kind of, friend, that you can confide in. You know what I mean? It was great. So like I said earlier, I can look back and see how the displacement of my life was not normal, but it worked out for the best.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So I loved it. I loved the fact that, I can go to 10 different school reunions, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And still, feel like I have, value or know some people.
Yeah. That's what's up. That's dope, man. That's dope. So when did hoop become, playing ball become serious in your life? Like, like you said, you was playing it since a young age. When did you look at it like, hey, this is something that I really want to do?
Man, it was, and it's funny, I was thinking about him today. So my father, he had introduced me to this guy named Steve Hall. Steve Hall is a great basketball player in Detroit, basketball coach too, and he had just taken over the Rogers Military Academy. This was I was my ninth grade year. I think I was 14, pushing 15, and I go to a military school in Detroit. It was one of the first military academies. And I had a challenge dealing with the community. Like I said, I went to 13 different schools. So ninth grade, I went to Rogers Military Academy. Played a little basketball there, but I had to, I was transferred because my father thought it was a better opportunity to play basketball at Grosse Pointe North, which is one of the most elite, prestigious high schools in Detroit. So I go to Grosse Pointe North and I'm playing basketball and I'm encountering racism. It's only 13 black kids, out of 1,600. So I'm playing basketball, getting called the N-word, playing football, trying to figure out myself, getting called the N-word. Who's going to be my friend? Who's not the racist white guy? Who is the racist white guy? Doing that, what I mean? You end up leaving there due to some racism. Then I went to this great school in Detroit called Cass Tech. Cass Tech is one of the top technical schools, urban technical schools in the whole country. And I had opportunity to meet some of the, at that time it was three of the top 10 basketball players were playing on his basketball team. So I had opportunity to go there and sharpen my skills and be better. I wasn't just tossed into the fire. And I was fortunate enough to get noticed by Texas A&M Prairie View. Even though I was never an elite basketball player, I was the motivational guy at the end of the bench. You know what I mean? I was a guy that can come in the game and, go get a block real quick, go do this and that, be the backup guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even though I was ranked 9th in the state, I was never that guy. You know what I mean? I knew my role, you know what I'm saying? Like, and my role was just to be the uplifter, you know what I mean? Get the dirty, do the dirty work. You know what I mean? I had one game, I played semi-pro in one game, I scored 49 points. That's because my sister was in the crowd watching. Wow. You know what I mean? And I've never reached nothing of that. So my lifetime average is probably like 6 or 7 points. You know what I mean? But I was always that determined. I always wanted to make it. And then that determination, coming up through there, that led me to working out with the Detroit Pistons. I worked out with the Detroit Pistons for 2 seasons. And you know, that was even after a, you know, a dismal college career. But you know, I tell everybody, work ethic, you know, it gets you there. You know what I mean? So, you know, I actually snuck in the gym. You know, I had an inadvertent invite from Michael Curry, the basketball coach. I was serving tables at Macaroni Grill in Auburn Hills, Michigan. And he said, "Man, you look like you in shape, big fella. We got practice right around the corner. If you was ever in town, you can come and run." I said, "Don't play with me." And so I popped up. I knew where practice was because my homie Morris Peterson, a Michigan State champion, you know, he brought me by there one day. So I went by there, and the next so happened, I saw Mo Pete at the door going into practice. I told him what Michael Curry said. I went in the gym. I met this guy named Arnie Kander. Arnie Kander is a genius. He was the Detroit Pistons trainer, and he also trained different other athletes. And even I saw 50 Cent and Eminem come in and get some physical therapy from him. It's a straight up genius. So he snuck me in the gym. Arnie put me on a regiment, which kept me under the radar for about 20 days. Got my weight down 17 pounds. I went to Pryor on practice. I got whooped by Kwame Brown and Jason Maxill. You know what I mean? But I was there though. They brought me back the next year, and I came around. I built some great relationships. You know, with Rasheed Wallace and a whole bunch of other great guys, and I still cultivate those today. As a matter of fact, Rasheed Wallace gave me his whole wardrobe. If you remember back in the day when they had made Rasheed and Iverson and Garnett purchase dress clothes because they didn't want them to look like thugs. I mean, she still wear his stuff from high school and college, man. You know, this guy, he's so down to earth. You know what I mean? There's a whole nother great story about my brother. I mean, but you gave me all this stuff, you know, and that started off my career, man. So I'm just thankful for how things went, you know.
I had to show 'em that I wasn't made.